So good morning, everyone.
Good
Good
morning,
morning,
sir.
sir.
Morning, sir.
So anything would like to add from previous class? Make some comments, clarifications. We have looked up to energy density, power density. So previously we have seen discharge profile, Coulombic efficiency, discharge capacity, specific capacity, theoretical capacity, voltage, etc. So anything would like to add? Make some comments, clarifications. Easy to follow, tough. All of you could follow.
Um,
You know the difference between energy density and power density now? Energy density and power density. What are the units? Watt hour. Whatever. Watt per kg. The rate of delivery of energy is nothing but power. So electrochemical power is, or electrical power is current into voltage. Current into voltage. How long the power can be delivered is the energy. So if you multiply capacity with the average voltage or working voltage, you are going to get energy. We have two energy: gravimetric energy density, volumetric energy density, specific energy, energy density. Anything else you would like to add? We'll go ahead. Okay. So last class we have seen here. So there is a maximum power that you can draw from your battery based on the voltage and the internal resistance or the load connected to the battery. So it cannot be larger than this. Maximum power as per the power theorem is V square by 4R. V square by 4R. So in order to have a higher power, maybe you need to have low internal resistance, or the load resistance should be as low as possible. So did you work out how long your mobile phone can function? After the class, anybody looked at what is the maximum talk time you can have, or running time, playtime you can?
Yes, sir.
What is the maximum energy density or energy or capacity one of you or many of you are having in your smartphone? Anybody has higher than 5000 whatever? Any battery has larger than 4000 whatever as energy density or energy? All smartphones will have at least 1500 whatever, or in terms of capacity above 1000 ampere hour, milliampere hour, sorry, milliampere hour. So minimum 2000 to 3000 whatever energy any smartphone will have. So I'm talking about smartphone. Button cells may have lesser energy, maybe 840 milliampere hour, or sometimes less than that, or close to 1000 milliampere hour. What is the capacity of the battery that is used in laptop? Anybody looked up? Or any other device? Any other known device? Okay, so if you have not done, please next after this class or later you please look up. Okay, so this also we have seen in the last class. Ragone plot or Ragone plot is the plot of energy density versus power density on a logarithmic scale, which gives all the information about electrochemical energy systems. So based on the indented application, you will have to select one device. So whether you require high power device, high power or high energy, based on that you will have to select the electrochemical energy source. So the ratio of energy density to that of the power density will give you discharge time or charge time. Okay, so larger the energy means larger the charging time or discharging time. Lower the energy means or higher the power means very short time, namely supercapacitors, ultra capacitors, etc. So there is a separate unit. I think it is a third unit. We will dwell on supercapacitors exclusively. And the fourth unit or fifth unit we will dwell on fuel cells. Fourth unit will deal with the supercapacitor. Fifth unit will deal with the fuel cells. Please wait for that. Okay, so this is how it comes. So how these numbers come. Okay, so the next parameter you will have to consider while developing a battery, a reliable battery, a commercial battery, is the temperature influence. So we want the battery to be working at the same performances independent of any temperature. Or literally the battery that is made in India should work with the same performances if we operate in Norway, or if we use it in Canada or any such low temperature places. You know that in Canada always the temperature of the temperature is less than zero. Many times half of the year minus 20 degree. Okay, Norway also very low temperature. Okay, so the battery that you make in India or elsewhere should work at the same performances if it is used in Canada or Norway or places like that, or even otherwise also. The battery made elsewhere should work at the same performances if we use it in India, or maybe if it is used in Sahara also, where the temperature is at least 30 degree, 40 degree. Okay, so if you compare Canada and India, the temperature difference is about 60 degree. So it means the battery should be able to work with at the same performances at such a 60 degree difference, and this is not simply possible. It's not possible because it's all basically based on the electrochemical redox reactions, reduction oxidation reaction or oxidation reduction reaction, and the rate is strongly influenced by the temperature, and the rate is strongly influenced by the temperature. So when I say rate, it is the kinetics of the reaction. You know, rate of the reaction is also known as kinetics of the reaction, which is highly temperature dependent. Depending on the temperature, the rate of these reactions can be. So generally, how the rate of these reactions can be, with your knowledge, at which temperature the rate of the reaction will be larger or quicker or fast? Low temperature or high temperature? Am I audible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Rate of the reaction. Forget about electrochemical reaction. You take any chemical reaction, you conduct at a different temperature. One is at a low temperature, another one is like high temperature. At which temperature you can expect a high rate, or the kinetics should be larger? Generally, high temperature, right? Because at a high temperature, according to the kinetics theory of molecules, so they get activated at a high temperature. They become highly labile, highly reactive. and the rate of the conversion from reactant to product is very high, quick. Turnover number may be larger at high temperature. Same thing for the electrochemical reaction also. The only difference is here the transfer of electrons. Transfer of the electrons. That also facilitated by the temperature. Higher the temperature, higher the rate of the reaction. Not only for chemical reaction, including electrochemical redox reactions. Okay, so it means that you take a battery, operate at a low temperature, another one operate at a high temperature. Definitely, the rate of these two temperatures will be different. Accordingly, the performance of the battery also going to be different. So the performance of the battery also will be different at a different temperature. Here you are seeing a discharge profile. I am sure by now you will agree with me that these are discharge profile. A discharge profile taken at a high temperature T1, then moderate temperature T2, and very low temperature T3. Same battery operated at a different temperatures. What do we see? What do we infer from this discharge profile? We should have had offline classes.
At low temperature, better weak faster.
What do we see?
Discharge is
My voice is audible because I am using fan. We don't have it. I don't know whether it is making noise or not.
The time of discharge increases, the temperature also increases.
Is it okay? My voice is audible.
yes, sir.
Okay, it's not noisy, right?
No.
Okay. So what do we see from these discharge profiles taken at a different temperature, 3 different temperatures? What is the first thing?
Discharge time.
Then the time of discharge.
Yeah. So definitely at low temperature we are seeing that very low capacity. How much capacity is lost? As high as 70% of the capacity is lost at low temperature. At elevated temperature, there seems to be little increased capacity, isn't it? But it lost its flat tip profile. The battery discharge has lost its flat discharge profile. Only in moderate temperature, you get the desired or relatively flat discharge profile. So this is what happens if the battery is operated at a high temperature. So it's basically electrochemical redox reactions. The rate is getting accelerated. So eventually, so there is little increase in the battery performance. Looks it is increased, but the high temperature also leads to its inherent nature. It will lead to unwanted reactions, decomposition of the electrolyte, even sometimes decomposition of the electrode itself. Some unwanted side reactions may lead to at high temperature because the molecules are getting activated at high temperature. Okay, so this will lead to unnecessary side reactions at high temperature. How long it will survive? It will not survive for long cycles, maybe 100 cycles, 10 or 200 cycles. After that, cycle life will decline. The battery performance will decline. If the battery is operated at a high elevated temperature for a long time, definitely it will lose cycle life. Electrode might undergo degradation quickly because of the elevated temperature. How about why we are getting low capacity at low temperature? Why we are getting low temperature, low capacity? Because the electrolyte is almost frozen at low temperature. Electrolyte is almost frozen. So mobility of the ions will be restricted because low temperature. So ions may require big blanket. They will feel cold. They cannot move. They cannot move. So when the ions cannot move, how we can expect redox reactions to take place? If no redox reaction, how we can expect the same performances? It results in low performances. Capacity as high as 30%, 70% to 80% is lost at low temperature. Electrolyte is frozen. Not only mobility of the ions are restricted, the internal resistance of the electrolyte is increased very much. Whatever the current being generated or charge but that is being generated will be utilized to overcome the resistance of the electrolyte itself. So will result in poor battery performance. Will result in poor battery performance. So for battery to be operated, there should be an optimum temperature. Neither low temperature nor high temperature is preferable. It will result in poor cycle life, poor performances. Overall, it reduces the capacity. Overall, reduces the energy density. The performance of the battery will not be up to the mark. So, any battery that you want to develop should be able to cooperate with the temperature. It should be able to provide, if not the same performances, nearly same performances at all temperatures. But there are no such ideal batteries.
Sir,
Parameters. Yes, please.
sir, if the electrochemical reactions are same, then in the countries where temperature is almost minus 15, 20, how do they manage it, sir?
No, that's what. So it should be used in ambient conditions. So when I say Canada minus 20 degree, so wherever the battery is kept or wherever the batteries are used, they are not using at a minus 20 degree. So it will be shielded. Okay, so they will maintain through some other energy sources. They would have kept the room temperature maybe about 12 degree. Okay, generally, or 18 degree. So the environment may be minus 20 degree, but working environment is kept at plus 18 degree or 24 degree. So there the batteries are used. Okay. Did I respond?
Yes, sir. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So the next parameter is cycle life or service life. This essentially means the number of cycles that you can use for a battery. How many number of times you can charge and discharge for a battery is the cycle life. One cycle refers to one complete charging and complete discharging. Literally, so cycle life refers to before 80% of the original capacity of the battery falls in any cycle. Let's say you have fabricated a secondary battery, you have charged it, you are discharging it. 100% SOC, 100% DOD. You are doing cycling. Okay, so it will give 1000 cycles or so. But this service life or cycle life, so let's say you are in 800th cycle. If you are going to get 100% capacity, what you have input, it is still good. But if the capacity falls less than 80%, beyond that, cycle life should not be counted. Then the cycle life of the battery is only 800 cycles. The number of cycles a battery can be operated during charging, discharging, before its capacity falls less than 50%, 80%. Okay. So for secondary alkaline battery, this ranges about 500 to 600 cycles. Lead acid battery, maybe with maintenance free batteries, a little above 600, 800 cycles. And with respect to lithium ion battery, it is 1000 cycles, 2000 cycles, 3000 cycles. There are laboratory claims 10,000 cycles. Higher this number, better the performance of the battery. It means you don't have to replace the battery frequently. Okay. So after 500 cycles, if the battery capacity falls less than 50%, next 50 cycles, the capacity will fall less than 20%. then you will have to replace the battery. It is not possible to use. Okay. So higher the number of cycle, better the performance of the batteries. But why battery cycle life goes down? Why we are not able to do any number of cycles for any battery? Why only 600 cycles for secondary alkaline battery? Maybe 800 to 900 cycles for lead acid battery. And even with the lithium-ion battery, why only 3000 cycles? Why not 6000 cycles, 10,000 cycles, or unlimited cycle? What happens to the battery or battery electrodes? There are many things happens. Battery consists of anodes, cathode, electrolyte. They are all chemicals. And we know that during the charging and discharging, depending on the battery type, there is a chemical. One chemical is changing into another chemical. Can you give one example? One chemical is changing into another chemical in a battery. Give one example. Very tough question this sir has asked. Very, very tough question. One chemical is changing into another chemical in a battery. Give one example.
Lead oxide to lead sulfate in lead acid battery.
Yeah, so in lead acid battery, lead chemical is changing into lead sulfate. In lithium ion battery, carbon is becoming lithiated carbon. Or the composition of the lithium cobalt oxide is changing. Or in the secondary alkaline battery, nickel oxyhydroxide is changing to nickel hydroxide. They are different chemicals. Their compositions are different. Their crystal structures are different. Our structures are different. Their conductivities are different. Their volumes are different. What is the volume? Volume is a volume, sir. What is volume? Isn't it? Lead crystallizes in cubic. What is its volume? Unit cell volume? A cube. Let's say unit cell volume is 10 angstrom cube. And this lead changes to lead sulfate. We have double sulfate formation mechanism in lead acid battery. Lead Pb becoming or has become PbSO4. Composition is different, its crystal structure is different, and its volume is different. And when you want to bring back to lead, not sure, 100% reversible. It may be 99% reversible in one cycle. In 10,000 cycle, if you are losing each cycle 1%, in 1,000 cycles, how much percentage you will lose? You will lose everything. The capacity at 1,000 cycle will be nearly zero because chemicals are changing from one state to another, or one chemical is changing into another chemical. Volume change. It is not 100% reversible. We say 100% rechargeable. State of charge or Coulombic efficiency may be 100%, but still. So when you use battery for long cycle, so the repeated charging and recharging reactions or oxidation reduction reactions will lead to degradation of the electrodes. The electrode will not be the same state how you had in the first cycle or when you assemble it. It deteriorates, degrades. It loses the morphology, it loses the surface area, it loses the conductivity, it loses the activity. So you cannot expect the same capacity at first cycle as well as at the 200th cycle. There is decrease in the capacity. At least 10-15% decrease in the capacity, even with respect to lithium-ion battery. So then when you are doing several cycles, charging, discharging, there may be unwanted reactions. Forget about temperature. You keep the same temperature, 24 degree or 32 degree. If you do charging, discharging 1,000 times, these charging, discharging cycles will influence for the side reactions. Sometimes the electrode may develop some unwanted characters, solid characters, spike-like characters. We call this as a dendrite. Okay. So assume that in lithium-ion battery you use lithium as an anode, like a foil, smooth surface. Lithium-ion, this lithium is in contact with the electrolyte. So during charging, discharging, the lithium-ion present on this surface goes to the cathode compartment through the electrolyte and comes back. Essentially, it becomes etching. Then after some time, the surface is etched, may not be uniform. There may be a creation of spike-like characters. We call this as a dendrite. Morphology is not same how you had in the first cycle. Morphology changing, loses the surface area. You would have had spherical particles. It would have changed it to different shape, size. And where this material will go? This material may undergo degradation, will fall in the electrolyte. Electrolyte conductivity will be different. The electrode conductivity itself may be different. It will increase the cell internal resistance or impedance. So the current that is the charge that is being generated should overcome the impedance that is being added to the cell after the cycles, after few thousand or 100 cycles, few hundreds of cycles. So you are not going to get the same capacity at the 800th cycle or 1000th cycle or 2000th cycle in the case of lithium-ion battery. In addition to this, sometimes overcharging will lead to accelerating unwanted reaction, over discharging, short circuiting. Many a time drawing the more current or more power than the intended C rate will all damage and overall the battery. So you are not going to get the same performances. But ideally you should get the same performance. First cycle capacity, how much it was, 1000 cycle also you should be the same. For an ideal battery, it's not the same. You're not going to get because of these reasons. And very important parameter for a battery to be developed commercially. Okay, so I'm left with the 2-3 more parameters. Deep discharge. What this terminology refers to? Deep discharge.
Discharge, sir?
Yes, deep discharge. Whatever the charge you input, you should be able to retrieve it whenever you require. If you are retrieving 100%, the battery is said to be deep discharged. You know, this terminology is very much applicable to lead-acid battery. Deep discharge lead-acid batteries. Generally, lead-acid battery cannot be discharged beyond 80%. Why? Did I give the answer? Why lead-acid battery cannot be discharged beyond 80% BOD?
Beyond 80%.
I have a theoretical estimation why it cannot be discharged beyond 80% lead-acid battery. Other batteries may be possible, in particular lead-acid battery. Yes, someone is responding.
beyond 80% DOD, the acid is behaving like water.
The electrolyte loses its electrolytic feature. It is 5 to 6 moles of concentration of sulfuric acid when you assemble lead acid battery. When you discharge it, the concentration of the electrolyte changes from 5-6 moles to nearly 1 mole. 1 mole sulfuric acid is more like water. There are no moving ions. It's more like water. Further charging of lead acid battery is not possible. It will not pick up. So that is almost equal to 80% of the depth of discharge, beyond 80%. So we have to restrict up to 80% depth of discharge so that enough concentration of the sulfuric acid is left in the electrolyte and further charging is possible. Okay, so very recently you would have heard about deep discharge lead acid batteries. So they are held with some compositions, maybe AGM battery. Okay, so you can go little beyond 80%. You can go little beyond 80% discharge. Okay, but all in all, so your battery should be able to deep discharge. It means whatever the energy that you input or capacity that you input during the charging, you should be able to retrieve during the discharging. So Coulombic efficiency should be as high as 90%, 100%, sorry, 100%. So this is discharge curve. I'm sure you will agree with me. This is a discharge curve, and for lithium-ion battery, okay, there is a cutoff voltage, there is a cutoff discharge voltage, okay, and there is a midpoint voltage, okay, all those things. It's a plot of voltage versus time, basically. Plot of voltage versus time. The time can be converted into capacity. Charging time can be converted into charging capacity. Discharge time can be converted into discharge capacity. So I told you in another class, if you subtract with the maximum capacity during charging and discharging, multiply with 100, you are going to get either state of charge or state of discharge. Both SOC and DOD are connected with 100. Depth of discharge 100 means battery is fully discharged, no charge. SOC 100 means the battery is fully charged, DOD is 0. So if you are given DOD, it is possible to estimate SOC. This is one of the diagnoses to know the health of the battery practically. Wherever batteries are used, whether power plant or any other places, to diagnose the battery, they measure the SOC or DOD. And in fact, if it is a lead acid battery, they measure the density, the electrolyte density. Knowing the density of the electrolyte, it is possible to estimate what is the SOC, what is the DOD, how long you can perform the battery to be used. Okay. So SOC 1 or 100 is fully discharged. No. SOC, state of discharge. DOD, state of discharge 100 or 1 is fully discharged. State of discharge 0 is fully 100%. Or you take any other point, you measure that percentage. See, it is advisable that you don't completely discharge any battery, even lithium-ion batteries. Though it is possible to extract 100% charge that you input, even for lithium-ion battery, but it is not advisable. It will damage the electrodes. It will lose the performance, cycle life. It will reflect directly in the cycle life. Okay. So this is what we have seen. So discharge profile, voltage versus time can be converted to capacity. So now we have converted into SOC or DOD. I think I'm done. So this is another parameter, self-discharge, SELF, or SHELF? SHELF or SELF? Self-discharge, self-life, or shelf life? You make the battery and keep it in the almirah. How long it can hold the charge is the self-discharge. So we know that when you assemble a primary battery, they are already in the charged state or discharged state. Charged state. You make the battery, primary battery, and start using it. Whereas the secondary battery, it is in the discharged state, irrespective of any type of the battery, including lead acid battery. When you assemble, they are in the discharged state, and you have to charge it when you want to use it. Okay. So you charge it, keep it on the shelf. You have a primary battery, a dry cell, zinc carbon battery, another one maybe nickel metal hydride battery or lithium ion battery or lead acid battery. You keep it for 1 month. After 1 month, try to use both the batteries. Will there be any difference in both the batteries, or will there not be? There won't be any difference. There will be, or there won't be.
There will be difference.
Primary batteries have very low self-discharge. On the other hand, secondary batteries have very large self-discharge, including lithium-ion battery. You completely charge the smartphone housed with lithium-ion battery today. Excuse me. Put off your mobile phone, keep it on somewhere. Come back after a month. Try to on. It is difficult. The reactions associated with the secondary batteries are inherently having self-propagation, self-reactions. Automatically discharges. Discharge reaction occurs unintentionally without doing anything, slowly. This is the number. Lead acid battery loses 4 to 6% of charges per month. This is ideal condition. In non-ideal condition, it will lose all charges in 1 month. Nickel cadmium, higher. Metal hydride battery, very high. Lithium-ion battery is little less. It is difficult to on the battery after on your smartphone after a month, because the battery will be automatically discharged, will be undergoing self-discharge. Whereas dry cells or primary batteries, they can stay on the shelf even for years, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years also. In this sense, secondary battery is looking inferior. No, I don't say it is inferior. It is the inherent nature of that battery. That's all. Whether good or bad, that is different. That is the inherent nature. So you make a battery, primary battery, keep it on the shelf, or the shopkeeper keeps piled for years. You buy it after 3 years, still it will give the same capacity. No change. Hardly changes the capacity for dry cells, primary batteries. Whether lithium battery or dry zinc carbon battery or such batteries. Whereas all secondary batteries have high self-discharge. Among secondary batteries, lithium-ion battery is less. Last parameter. Application requirement. So we have more than 100 elements. How many batteries possible? 100 factorials. But how many battery technologies we have on the market? Only countable. By now you should know, or you are aware that why not so many battery technologies are available, not available. because the combination of the electrodes, anode and the cathode, may not give significant voltage. Sometimes negative voltage, negative potential. It's not at all galvanic, non-galvanic. How can we make with the negative voltage or negative potential as a battery? No, you have to use a electrolytic cell. Sometimes 0.1 voltage, 0.5 voltage, less than 0.1 voltage. Voltage is insignificant. That is one reason. The other reasons, you can add all these parameters. Capacity may not be very high. It may be theoretical capacity or practical capacity may not be very high because they may have a large mass. You just compare lead and lithium. Capacity, theoretical capacity of lead anode, lithium anode. Maybe why don't we do that? We have already worked out for lead. What is the capacity, theoretical capacity of lead anode? Somebody should be able to tell the number. 245 or 248 milliampere hour per gram. Am I audible? Yes,
Yes, sir.
what is the theoretical capacity of lead?
Two 59, sir.
Some number. What is the theoretical capacity of lithium, which is anode for lithium ion battery? Did you work out? If not, we can work out. So you take 1 mole of electron or 1 electron, 1 into 26.8 divided by mass of lithium. Mass of lithium is 6.9. You can take 7 gram roughly. So 26.8 divided by 7 ampere hour. How much? (26.8) divided by 7, 3,800 mAh roughly. Whereas 248, 10 order increase, nearly 10 times increase the capacity, a larger capacity. Just comparing lithium and lead. Or lead is having less capacity theoretically compared to lithium. Think of mercury. Think of any other metals which who has a larger atomic mass. Think of their theoretical capacity. Maybe inferior. Capacity may be low, theoretical capacity may be low, discharge capacity may be low, energy density may be low, power density may not be cooperating, abundance may not be there. Okay, it may have high capacity, high potential, etc. But if it is not abundance, we cannot make a viable battery. Sometimes these electrodes are toxic. Mercury is toxic, but very good element or electrode for redox property. Mercury, cadmium for that matter, toxic. Of course, lead also toxic. So these are the reasons why we are not having so many battery technologies on the market. Only countable number of battery technologies are available. Okay. So assume that it satisfied all other parameters. Now come to this application requirement. So we need to make a battery to use it in this smartphone. We need to make a battery to use it in this remote control. We need to make a battery to use this consumer electronics or this one, calling bell, or any other device, laptop, electric vehicle, UPS, camcorder, anything. Whether all the battery technologies will cooperate for making any such type of batteries. Let's take one example, lead acid battery. whether it is practically possible to use lead acid battery in smartphone. This has the energy density of 4200 whatever. Lithium ion battery used in the smartphone is roughly 4200 whatever, and this weighs about 150 milligram, the whole smartphone, and the battery mass is maybe about 50 milligram, 50 grams, sorry, 50 grams. 150 gram battery mass is maybe 50 grams. To get 4200 whatever per K, whatever energy, how much mass of the electrodes or the battery we should have been using if it is a lead acid battery? It would weigh something like this. It would weigh something like this. Very huge mass. Very huge mass. You cannot hold it. Have you ever lifted 7Ah lead acid battery or 11Ah battery? 11Ah battery that is used in your two-wheeler. 11Ah or 7Ah. Huge mass. So 11Ah, 2 voltage, how much energy density? But this has got 4200 mAh, such a tiny, lightweight. It's not possible to use lead acid battery in smartphone. You can use it, but talk time will be reduced, and we may not be able to name it as a mobile. You will have to keep it on the table whenever call comes, on and talk. You will not be able to walk with such mobile phone equipped with a lead acid battery. Huge mass. That is the reason why electric vehicle was not so feasible with the use of lead acid battery. Only specific applications are used, airports or something like that, with lead acid battery powered electric vehicles. You can't afford to carry such people. Huge mass, because the battery mass itself very high. In Pondicherry University campus, we had 2 electric vehicles 10 years before. Now it is damaged, equipped with lead acid battery. Because of poor maintenance, it is not usable now. So the battery technology should cooperate to make any size of the battery. The battery technology should be cooperate or should be feasible to use it for this application, even electric vehicle. That is a viable battery technology. So not only size requirement, voltage, energy, power, cycle life, affordability, all those things are required depending on your applications. Size, very much size. I'm mostly done. So these hardodizers, battery hardodizers, they use these terminologies, catching words. What are they? Please someone read. Battery hardodizing terminologies. Please someone read. Louder, please. Not
Long
audible.
life, high capacity.
Okay. What is long life? Wait. What is long life? What is long life?
So the operated time of battery.
Long cycle life. Number of cycles may be large. What is high capacity? Capacity of the battery is high. So it means you don't have to recharge frequently. High energy, connected. Higher the capacity, higher the energy density generally. Deep cycle, high Coulombic efficiency. Number of cycles very high. Coulombic efficiency is high. Heavy duty, What is heavy duty refer to?
Load given, sir.
High C rate is possible. High discharge current is possible. High power discharge is possible. That is a heavy duty. There are batteries, heavy duty batteries. Duracell, they have a heavy duty battery. It can able to discharge at a high current. I am not ambassador for this Duracell, but they have a heavy duty battery. Fast charge, quick charge, ultra battery. These are the terminologies in the battery market. So I am sure all these terminologies now you are familiar, isn't it? Sir, even before attending this course, we know, sir. Very good. Appreciate you.
Sir.
So let's spend a few minutes to work out these numerical problems, simple numerical problems. Possible takedown and work out. A typical small electric car uses about 22,000 watt hours of energy per kilometer on normal driving. Maybe it's not a race car. Okay. Calculate the required battery capacity for a range of 100 kilometers. Very simple. Please work out and tell me. A typical electric vehicle requires 200 watt hours of energy to cross 1 kilometer. Calculate the capacity of the battery to cross 100 kilometers. Or energy density. Simple, isn't it? Into 100, that's all. What is the energy density you should be having? Somebody responding here. 20,000 or 2,000 or 20,000? 20,000. 20 kilowatt hours of energy you require. 20 kilowatt hour. Yes. 20 kilowatt. Very simple. Next one. A laptop requires 40 watts of power for its functioning at 19 voltage. How long the laptop will function if the capacity of the battery is 4,500 mAh? Please work out. We have done similar to this problem previously. So a typical laptop requires 19 voltage. Some laptop works at 11 voltage. 19 voltage. And for its functioning, it requires 40 watts of power. How long it will function? Yeah. So you make use of this energy capacity and voltage, you are going to get energy, that is watt hour, WH. You know W, divided by this W or power, you are going to get the discharge time or charging time. So it means that much time it will function. So it means a typical laptop requires for its functioning 40 watts of power. A typical laptop works without connected to the grid about 2 hours. Okay, maybe if the capacity or the energy density is larger, maybe a little longer than 2 hours. You know, these laptops are sold based on the mass also, lightweight, slim laptop. Slim laptop. It means they use thin battery, not the cylindrical batteries. Most of the laptop uses cylindrical battery. I have next slide. Battery standards. Cylindrical battery. Slim laptop. Like a postal cover size. They used to advertise it. Okay, like a postal cover thickness. Very thin. Okay. Why we can't have a laptop functioning for 10 hours? What makes? Why we can't have? We are not having a laptop functioning only using battery for 10 hours. What is the practical difficulty? Again, the same mass. The same mass. You can make it working 10 hours with the use of lithium-ion battery, but it may not look typical this much size or thick laptop, but it will be larger. Battery size will be larger. Okay. Next one. A lithium-ion cell in a mobile has energy of 3,200. Okay, so 3.24 watt hour. The mobile is in continuous operation for 8 hours. Estimate how much power the mobile utilizes per hour at what current if the cell voltage is 3.7. Please estimate. A mobile phone has an energy of 3.24 watt hour. Or you can take your mobile phone also. We have done already. And typically it runs for about 10 hours to 8 hours to 10 hours. Or if larger energy density, 24 hours. How much power it requires for functioning if the voltage is 3.7? Yeah. So it is possible to estimate, right? Definitely. So energy is given, discharge time is given, you are going to get the power. Voltage is given, divide the power by voltage, you are going to get the current. That is important. It's as simple as that. Okay. So I cannot end battery lecture without giving the battery standards. We have different sizes, shapes of the batteries, and they are universal sizes. We have B cell, C cell, AA, AAA, quadruple A. Okay, they all have universal standards, universal dimensions. B cell is cylindrical and its height is 61.5 millimeter and its diameter is this much. Similarly, a AAA battery is cylindrical, this one cylindrical, and its height is 44.5 millimeter and its diameter is so this much. These are all cylindrical. We have coin cells or button cells and pouch cells. They all have universal dimension, so that whoever makes, whoever fabricates, they can sell it to the whole world. That's the standard, battery standard. It's amazing. Different types of batteries. So many types of batteries we have. Not just cylindrical. In coin cell itself, you see how many types of batteries are there. 20232, 2016, 2025, AA, AAA, quadruple A, C site, C type, D site, etc. They all have standards. Whoever makes the battery, they should make it in any of these sizes or several of these sizes, so that the battery they make can be sold to the world. So to summarize, we have seen what is energy density, both volumetric, gravimetric, power density, volumetric, gravimetric, flat discharge curve should be compatible for high C rate, fast recharge, long cycle life, low self discharge. It should be operable at wide operating temperature, of course affordable, high safety. Of course, the battery should have good mechanical strength, chemical stability, structural stability. So when Professor Shukla used to take such lecture, when he wants to demonstrate a mechanical strength, he will throw the battery in the class. So it should be rugged. It should be rugged. It should be rugged against physical abuse, batteries. So the desirable parameters are summarized here. Energy density should be high, power density should be high, mechanical strength, chemical stability, structural stability should be good, discharge curve should be flat, rate capability should be high, fast charging should be there, cycle life should be long, self discharge should be low, temperature should be widely operable, affordability should be good, safety should be high. These are the desirable characteristics of a battery. Whatever the battery technology that is surviving on the market, they satisfy many of these parameters. That is why they have gone into commercial. If anybody would like to make any new battery, you please look up these parameters and their desirable quantity parameters. In all, so energy density and power density are very important. Energy density refers to how much capacity you can input to the battery. Power density refers to how much you can retrieve. Very important parameters. Effective input, effective available energy density. Deliverable. So with this, let me complete unit 1. So if you have any comments, clarifications, additions, suggestions, you are welcome to do so. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.